Customers want speed, they want safety, and they want convenience. With Commerce 3.0, those cons don't exist. You only get benefit.
From astrophysics to PayPal to now you're reimagining guest checkout. What is Node, and describe it?
So Node is Commerce 3.0. If you think about going to a coffee shop and buying something, you go and you tap your phone. Don't worry about logging into anything. Don't worry about signing up to anything. Everything that you've done on your device, everything can be instant.
After completing his PhD in astrophysics from Harvard, Rohan Mahadevan spent 15 years with PayPal and grew it from $17 billion in payment volume to nearly $1 trillion. He is now the successful founder of Node, a transformative AI-based e-commerce platform that allows merchant and consumers to instantly engage without the hassles of signups.
We're telling the merchant, if 80% of your users check out as guests, this is a way in which you can actually treat your guest users like members. If the customer is the king, the customer is the king.
That says it all right there. Rohan, thank you so much for coming on the show. From astrophysics to PayPal to now you're reimagining guest checkout. Incredible journey you've had. I had a chance to chat with you about a month ago, but can you give our listeners quick background on who you are and a little bit of your story, and then we'll get into some other stuff, but quick background.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here and to be talking to you, especially with someone who's had such an amazing experience and kind of seen the whole e-commerce evolution happen, especially from back in the early 2010s. Just a brief background on me. I did my PhD in astrophysics. I did a postdoc, and through various crazy decision-making processes, went and did a startup back in '99, selling warranties online, actually. And then, of course, at that time, there was no Shopify, and that was a time when people questioned whether Amazon would be successful or not, right? Whether people would buy books online. And then I joined PayPal in 2004, and spent 15 years there and had, about 10 different jobs at the company. Fantastic experience. I ran risk, analytics. I then opened up the markets of Brazil, Mexico, and a few other places in Israel, including Israel, and then moved to Singapore, where I ran our Asia Pacific business, and then ultimately running all our international business out of Singapore. Spent about 7 years there. That was our headquarters, and through that time, learned a lot about merchants and experiences, online experiences, regulations, compliance, data. And so, all of that, when I left PayPal in 2019, moved back to the Bay Area, and was kind of thinking about a lot of the experiences I had. And that's why I kind of came up with Node, what we've built, and, the Commerce 3.0 solution that we, would love to share with you guys.
But 2004 PayPal, I just want to touch on that. That was a crazy time. When did PayPal go public? I was going to Google it really quick.
It went public before, so it went public way before that, and then it got acquired by eBay.
Right.
In about 2003.
Okay.
2002 or 2003, and then I joined in 2004 in October.
Was like Elon Musk wasn't involved at that point.
No, he wasn't.
And
He wasn't
Reed
there.
and
That's why
Hasty,
everybody
like,
asked. He wasn't there.
the PayPal mafia had kind of
some of
started.
them were still there. Some of them were tearing away, and yeah.
Wow,
I've
crazy.
heard a lot of
but
the
still.
stories, of course. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
When I joined PayPal, that first year that I joined, I remember we processed. PayPal processed about $17 billion in payment volume.
Wow.
And then when I left, PayPal was processing about nearly $1 trillion. So about $750 billion or $1 trillion. So quite an amazing ride and a fantastic company, of course. But
amazing. Well, what a backbone to have, or a foundation for the rest of your life. We could probably do a whole show on that, but that was what set you up, and what gave you some of your passion for what you later started. So what is Node? And this is what I want to talk about today, but describe it.
Yeah. So Node is Commerce 3.0. And what I mean by Commerce 3.0 is it's a way where it doesn't have any servers involved, and it allows consumers and merchants to directly interact, engage, communicate, and make purchases from each other without requiring any servers on the back end. So it's a true direct connection between a consumer and a merchant. And if I were to give you an analogy, um, the ultimate goal is, if you think about going to a coffee shop and buying something, right?
Mhm.
You go and you tap your phone, right? And you're not logging into the terminal.
Mhm.
There's information that exists on your phone securely, and that
Mhm.
information is transferred to that terminal to make a transaction happen, right?
Mhm.
And so the idea was, hey, suppose you could have a copy of everything that you've done online in commerce on your phone. All the emails, all the offers, all the communications, the SKUs, everything, a copy of it is on your device. Then any interaction between a consumer and a merchant should just be like doing that terminal, where it's just a tap, you get connected to the merchant directly, and the transaction ends up happening on the merchant side, right? And so
Mm.
the philosophy is, don't worry about, logging into anything, don't worry about signing up to anything. Just have everything that you've done on your device, and everything can be instant, literally instant. And because it's on your device, it's also, you have the ultimate in privacy as well.
Right. So is it inherently secure because it's on your device, it's not going through something stored, your data is not being stored on a server somewhere. Literally
So
like when
yeah, so if you take an example, merchant today will typically, actually, let me go back and kind of share why we even have
yeah.
username and passwords in the first place. So why we have account
Mm.
creates, right?
Mhm.
And if you rewind back to when the internet started, everybody accessed the web through a library computer or internet cafe. They would go to a library. There would be a lot of people going to libraries, a lot of people going to internet cafes, logging into, whether it's Amazon or, at that time, Hotmail or Yahoo Mail or whatever. And the reality is that the service provider had to identify who the customer was. And in order
Mhm.
to identify which one of the 500 people at that library computer was accessing it, it created a username and password that enable them to identify who that was, right? And then the second thing that ended up happening also was the only place to store information at the time was on a server that was sitting with the service provider or the business. And the business realized, hey, if I can store all the information from that customer, then maybe the next time the customer comes, I can give them very delightful, simple, and easy experiences, right? Didn't have to type their stuff again. I can store their card information, all of that stuff, right? And of course, they said, look, I need to store it. This was even before the days of Salesforce, right? They said, I need to store it because only if I store it can I trust it. I'm going to store it, I'm going to secure it, and I'm going to trust the information.
Mhm.
But you fast forward, and that was when internet started, when there was dial-ups, right? And this is kind of
Mhm.
the context of the infrastructure. But you fast forward 25 years, and today nobody shares devices anymore, whether it's your laptop, your iPad, your phone. Nobody shares. The second is the computing power, the storage power, the security power on this device
Mm.
is, for all commercial purposes, infinite, right? I mean, when
Mhm.
you actually go and buy a phone, they're pricing 256 gigs or 512. You're making a storage decision. You're making it, does it have fingerprint? Does it have retina scans? You're making those decisions. And the third thing that happened was, or is, you have cryptography today. That's very mainstream, right? And you can trust information that's not sitting on your server. So
Mhm.
if you think about Bitcoin, you're trusting the fact that there's a value, but it's not stored on anybody's single server,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if you put those three things together, and you can ask the question, well, okay, is there a Commerce 3.0 solution out there where you can actually store a copy of all the information of that consumer, say, Jay's information on Jay's device, and every time Jay comes to that merchant that he's made a purchase from before, he has all the information. He has their SKU. He has their order history. He has his loyalty points. He has everything in his phone. All he needs
Mhm.
to do is to securely transfer it to that merchant. and everything becomes an instant one click, right? And so that's kind of what we've end up building.
Okay, so just so people can visually understand this, so there's a mobile app
Yep.
you have installed, and your information is stored there. Now,
Yes.
you are shopping on a website on your device, and you come to checkout, and rather than creating an account or worrying about guest login, not guest login, you walk me through it from that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I think you're bang on. So you download an app that's called Node. It's a Node Commerce app. And the beautiful thing about the app is there's no sign up process.
Okay.
Yeah, I had made sure that there's no point downloading an app and trying to and then asking the customer for a username and password. So there's no sign up process because it's downloaded on your device and it's yours. Okay.
Okay.
So then you go, let's assume you go to, a merchant and you make a purchase as if you just made a purchase, right? You didn't have to worry about anything. Once you we have a patent where once you make a transaction on that merchant site, and you come to the confirmation page, so you've finished the process, you put 5 things in the cart, you've made the purchase happen. The app will ask you, do you want to save what you've did on your device?
Mm.
So it'll save if you made a purchase of 5 things in the cart, it'll save all those 5 SKU numbers from that merchant on your device.
Mhm.
And you go to your app and you'll see a copy of, hey, this is the purchase I made. Here's the shipment I made it to. Here's the card I used. Everything that you want, or if I use Shop Pay, you can use anything you want, and that just sits on your device, so that immediately, whenever you want to access it, you can just go to the Node Commerce app, and you can see
Mhm.
everything that. Now, if you say, I mean, like, I'll take my example, right? I buy some aftershave. And sometimes I go and say, okay, where did I buy it? What did was it the 9 ounce one, or was it the three
Yeah, yeah.
ounce one? Was it the 1.5? Was it the blue, or was it I'm like, okay, I just go in there. I find out what I bought. I literally click a button because all that information is there. And when I click that button, it transfers me back to the website, to the checkout page on the website. It puts in
Mhm.
all the SKU information, puts in my shipping, my billing, and if I used a card, puts in my card as well. And all I need to do is just click pay on the website, and the payment is complete. So you're kind of
Huh.
getting an Amazon one-click like experience for all your
Mhm.
customers
Mhm.
without requiring any sign up in the process.
And as a customer, so right away my head goes to the Shop app, um, which only would work for Shopify stores. Well, I guess they pull in some stuff because they sync with email, and they do pull in orders as long as there's an order confirmation email. I don't think it has the ability to click and then go back to the site, but I can see and track orders in there. But like, what would be a merchant's probably, or a listener thinking right now, what's the difference between Shop app?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about customers for merchants, there are two buckets. There's new acquisition, and then there's engagement, right? And the Shop app, is just like Amazon app or eBay app or Etsy or any of those apps, are really apps about discovery, right? They help consumers find a product independent of the merchant that they want to go and buy from,
Mm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Whereas this is really this what if you look when you look at the app and you download it, you'll see that every merchant has their own specific storefront. All communication comes into that storefront of that merchant. So it's an engagement tool for merchants, right? And where it helps merchants directly engage with their customers. And we're not about doing discovery. We're not about cross selling. We don't do any of that at all, right? So it's a complete engagement tool for merchants, and that's how we differentiate ourselves from the Shop app or eBay or Amazon.
And by engagement tool, do you mean you can push communication, offers, or like what does engagement mean?
So engagement, that's a great question. First of all, engagement for me is when the customer starts thinking about the merchant or thinking about what they want. Okay, and And that really starts from whether you've sent the customer an email on an offer or an email on some loyalty conversations or a newsletter or anything. Today, if you
Mm.
think about what happens, every merchant will send you. I mean, I get some merchants send me 10 emails a day, right? When they come into my Gmail. And pretty much within the first 15 minutes, they're below the fold, right? And
Mhm.
that's one of the frustrations a lot of people have of not even wanting to sign up for anything, or everybody will say, don't send me offers or don't send me stuff because you
Mm.
just know that
Mm.
it's just going to create issues, right? But and so and so if I wanted to go and buy, say, that cologne that I was talking about, I'm never going to go to Gmail and search for cologne because I'll get 1,000 things coming up and I don't even know how to
Mhm.
sift through it. But with this, when the intent is, hey, where's that thing that I bought? Or if coffee is a great example as well. Where's that coffee that I bought? I can immediately go to the Node app and I will exactly see the brand I bought it from. Like literally within like 5 seconds, you can find what you had done. And then from intent to then finding out exactly what it is and then to completion of purchase, that entire engagement is taken care of in less than 5 seconds, right? And that's the
Gotcha.
beauty of having everything instantly available. It can only be instant if it's
Yeah.
on your device, right? Otherwise, you always have to log in somewhere, right? And that's
So what are
the
the
intent.
what are the advantages to merchants? I can kind of see it a bit to the customer because it's seeing my having kind of all my orders in one place, whether they're on Shopify, not on Shopify. Um, Promotions from emails go into there's a promotions kind of section in it, right? You can see.
There's a promotion section, there's a order section, there's a account section. It
So that's great. Like if I
eliminates
if a
pushing.
if a s- if a store sends out an email with a promotional offer, I can go to that store and like I can see that there versus sifting through my emails to find it, right?
And it's always absolutely, and it's always present. So if
Gotcha.
you go into your, if I would show you my node, you can go into a merchant and you can literally see we convert all the emails that come in, which are typically texts, right? When you go to your Gmail, we convert them into basically what looks like a DN. And so you can actually, swipe right, swipe and left, and kind of see what the last five that was sent, because you really don't need to see the last 100. And then you can actually act on it. So yes, we actually do provide. So it gives you persistency, right?
Right.
And one of the things I like also saying and what I've done is, when I buy my airline tickets, or when I got an Uber ride scheduled, for example, and I'm on a plane, I have instant access to it because there's no sir, everything is on my device, right?
Right.
So I have 24/7 access to it even without Wi-Fi,
Right.
right? So just coming back to what you said about engagement, for me, engagement really starts when you're thinking about the merchant or thinking about the
Mhm.
product and making sure that you can deliver the content that the customer wants when they think about it.
Yeah.
And then so that there's no distraction and no drop off during that period of time.
Okay. Now, why would a merchant want to have this on there? I mean, okay,
Oh, yeah.
you can engage a bit better, but what are the other benefits for a merchant?
So what we're telling so we're focusing on merchants. So what happens today is, um, I'll take my example of buying coffee. All right. Um, I will go and buy coffee online. I either buy from Life Boost or I get from Illy Coffee, and I'll buy 3 or 4 different bold and this grind, that grind, whatever that portfolio of things that you have. And I won't create an account. I just don't want to create. I like checking out as a guest. I'm loyal to the merchant. I do like the merchant. I'm loyal to them.
I
But
do
I
that
check out.
too. I don't create accounts, but I will buy from the same store over and over, but I'm the same way.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I tell merchants, right? I tell merchants, I say, "Hey, customers actually, I mean, they've paid you, right? I mean, so they want your product, they've paid you, they've tried you, they want to engage. They just don't want the hassle associated with signing up, remembering stuff, and going through a password recovery, all that kind of other stuff they just don't want, right? So what we're telling merchants is, look, if more than 50 to 60% of your users are guest users, okay, where they check out, but they don't create an account, right? They
Mhm.
don't sign up for anything. And
Right.
most of them also will opt out like I do, even with the ones that I like a lot. I will opt out for marketing. I say, don't market to me, right? Because I just know it's gonna deluge my personal inbox.
Yeah.
And so you've got a customer that's checked out, they've opted out of marketing, and so your opt-out file is bigger. And now if you're gonna, you're gonna start, doing your uh, uh, if you're gonna start marketing again, that customer is gonna come back looking like a new customer. So you're kind of
Mm.
reacquiring a customer that you've already bought or has already bought from you. So what we're
Mhm.
saying is, look, instead of reacquiring that customer, why don't you just, and by the way, the deployment of Node on a merchant takes less than a minute, 30 seconds. Okay. Um, and if you just deploy this on your site, whenever the customer checks out as a guest, um, a copy of all that information will just be sitting on their Node Commerce app. And now immediately when it's there, the customer actually doesn't mind getting offers because it's all organized,
Yeah.
right? And everything is just one click. So you're actually giving a customer a better than an account-like experience without ever signing up for anything,
Okay,
right?
and I know this. So this is because there's a node specific email, right? So this is that all email marketing and offers will go directly to Node and not to your personal email, correct?
If the customer chooses to. So
If
there
you
we
turn
have
if you
two.
turn that on, yeah.
If you turn that on. What we also have in our app, and since we last talked, is you now have the ability to actually pull in your last 2 years worth of transactions from your Gmail if you
Oh,
want,
okay.
so that
Okay. Okay.
you
Yeah.
can actually see it all in one place. Or if you don't want your Gmail to be cluttered, or with or any emails that you have to be cluttered, when you download Node, we actually give you what we call a commerce token that looks like an email that you can use anywhere, and everything will come in directly into your Node app, right? And so you can. What we're saying is, look, email was built for personal communication, right? That's what was built for back in the day.
Yeah.
And right now, 90% of it is commercial, right? Basically. And because you've got the WhatsApps of the world, you've got, Twitter, you've got different forms of communication for different things. And so email is really used on a personal basis for documentation more than anything else when you need to remember things and when you need something documented. And so we're saying, look, just we've created a new commerce space on Node, which is your own personal private space, which is what we're calling your personal commerce assistant, where everything you do in commerce is just in one place, right?
Hmm.
Because it's commerce related, we can, use AI and certain other rules that eliminate all spam phishing attempts, that you can feel trusted, direct communication with the brand. So that's the idea behind the personal commerce assistant. Yeah. So you're coming back to what benefits the
Yeah.
merchant, right? So we're telling the merchant, if 80% of your users or 70% or 60% of your users check out as guest, right? Um, this is a way in which you can actually give them account
Right.
like treat your guest users like members, right?
Right.
And I'll just give you a concrete example. Today, when any merchant asks somebody to create an account, they really have four value props, right? They say, and you can Google this and say, what's the benefit of guest checkout versus creating account? And this is
Hmm.
all standard stuff. And there's pros and cons, and we're saying there are no more cons of guest, because
Hmm.
when you give consumers, merchants give consumers a reason to create an account, they say instant access to your order history, right?
Yeah.
Faster checkout the next time. We can give you loyalty points, and we can give you personalization. And what we're saying is, look, if you actually keep a copy of that information with the customer, you can provide all those services without requiring sign up.
100%. Yeah.
So that's the benefit to the merchant, is you can treat all your users like like
like
account holders.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use as a customer node, like if I have it installed on my phone, it doesn't matter if a merchant has it, if a store um, supports it, I could still use it to shop there. Uh, and does it populate my checkout as I go through, or does the brand need to have a have it installed on their end as well too, so it can communicate?
So to the first part, you can actually use Node anywhere, and it will populate all the information that it has that you have on yourself, right,
Yeah,
into the merchant site. The advantage for what it doesn't do, unless the brand actually has deployed us, is we can't get is the SKU information relative to that brand it's what's needed, right? In order to make sure you have I can pre-populate the product categories that they've purchased from the brand, because that information is only available at the brand. So our deployment is really telling the brand, look, our technology does everything else, but the data that the customer needs is really the SKU information. And that's what this deployment really does, is just gets the SKU information of the purchase that they made and transfers it to the customer's device.
yeah. Makes sense. So, do you have any data on what the potential losses of guest checkout in terms of it not like customers not reordering, customers like not taking advantage of loyalty, or customers like what do you know the impact of a customer who shops as a logged in customer? Because you're basically giving a logged in experience to a not logged in customer. So what is the delta there? Do you like does the average logged in customer buy X more times, have higher AOV, have X higher LTV? What is the difference?
It varies. Yeah, I can give you directionally where it's at, but of course it varies by industry and by brand and etc. But typically, if on certain industries, you'll see that account holders, especially for repeat transactions, right? And you'll see account holders maybe doing 4 to 5 transactions or 6 transactions, say, a year, okay, on certain kinds of products. And the corresponding guest user may do 1 or 2, right? Because the switching costs are very easy. They can go and buy anywhere else, or it's become too difficult to go back, put in 5 things in the cart. I'm just going to go to my Target nearby and I'll just go buy it from there, for example, right? If it's available. And so the delta, I would say, is, I mean, it's also reflected in any merchant. They just need to calculate, hey, what's my LTV on my account holder, and what's my LTV on my guest users, right? And I think that discrepancy is about at least 2 to 3x, right, of a difference, right?
Right.
And
I
and
was
of course,
search
it varies by industry, right?
Yeah, just looking it up as we speak. Logged in users on average have a 30 to 40% higher AOV, average order value, than guest shoppers. Reason, this is from a Salesforce study. Um, Store preferences make personalized upsells, personalized offers. They logged in users convert 2 to 3 times higher than guest shoppers. That's from a Baymard study. Um, yeah, all the data, higher lower abandoned carts. So higher abandoned cart recoveries. Yeah, so I mean, so the the benefit here is, do you know what the industry what percentage of checkouts are guest versus logged in?
Yeah. So if you well, again, it varies by industry and by merchant. Some merchants force some merchants will say, "Hey, I've got
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah. True.
account holders." But the
Yeah.
question is, okay, what's the conversion? What's the overall website conversion, right? And that's really a question over there.
Yeah.
A lot of the merchants we've been talking to, it's about, some people say it's 90% our guests. They just want to, because they're coming in either through their social media advertising. Everybody wants speed. Everybody wants speed, right? Customers want speed, they want safety, and they want convenience, right? That's kind of it. And especially in this day and age with everything is instant. So the ability to go and create something new and sign up for something is, and one of the things I get, um, I see a lot of is the minute you go to any website, they say 20% off, give me your email. Right? And customers have created multiple junk emails to kind of make sure that they value that, and it doesn't really go anywhere with it. So it is pretty significant. And I yeah.
Shopify, I just was there's 70% of all orders are from guest checkouts on Shopify. Globally, the average is closer to 80%. But so I
Because
mean,
it's
it's a
they're
huge so that's a
international.
huge portion of customers that check out as guest, and they have well, I just went over all the data on how that affects their buying behavior. So you're solving a large problem here. This is not inconsequential.
I think so. And
Yeah, I guess that's why you're doing it,
I
right?
definitely think so. And one of the things, you're looking online, and if you even do a Google search and say, hey, what are the benefits and the pitfalls of guest checkout? Um, you'll see, they'll see pros: faster checkout, no speed, higher conversion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Challenges, engagement low, can't give offer loyalty, et cetera, et cetera. And what we're saying is those cons don't exist anymore. With Commerce 3.0, those cons don't exist. You only get benefits, right?
Yeah,
And I remember the time when, when this was when PayPal was part of eBay. eBay had a philosophy at the time was everybody requires logged in transactions, right? For various reasons to market.
mhm, mhm.
And then of course, they opened up guest as a way to allow customers, and they immediately saw a huge increase in new sales, right? Because it's guest is great, it's fast. But then they saw a challenge with engagement, right, on that group of users. And so what we're saying is there doesn't need to be a challenge in engagement anymore because
Mhm.
the tech is different.
So you say uh, Node claims to deliver all the benefits of a logged in experience, such as loyalty, reorders, personalized offers, um, without signing up. Is there anything it doesn't do? Like, it does there is there like, okay, we can do almost all of this, but not this one thing?
I'll answer. I'll answer that question. Well, the short answer is I think anything that a merchant wants to do with the customer, they can do directly with the customer using this technology, right?
Mhm.
And the reason is because the fundamental infrastructure that we're building in this Commerce 3.0, which is serverless AI commerce,
Uh-huh.
is serverless, right? So
Uh-huh.
we don't own any customer data. Okay. I think that's a really important point. We don't own any customer data. The merchant still owns whatever data they have. I'm not taking anything away from the merchant. They still own the data, the transaction, the customer. All of that is all the merchant's doing is, hey, I'm just going to keep a copy of it on the customer's device so it becomes easier for them to interact with me. Right.
Right.
And so there is really no downside on how they email on the back end, what the back end processes are. We actually increase their opt-in file. And so, it may sound too good to be true, but that's because the infrastructure has changed, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me going down a little bit of a parable based on my astrophysics background,
I was
I
hoping
can
you would.
I can give you the analogy I like to use when I talk to investors and other people as well. Look, I view this change, this technology shift that we're going through, and we're seeing it right now, and we can talk about agentic commerce and the impact of that on guests as well. In a second. But if you think about all risk manage, I mean all the things that e-commerce providers, the e-commerce industry has today, right? You have risk management that makes sure people don't hack into your servers. You put captchas in front to make sure it's not a bot. You go through password recovery flows. You do OTPs. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, and every merchant needs to think about this, right? And that's all because they're storing data on everybody's individual server. So there's a lot of different solutions to try to solve a common problem, right?
Mhm.
And the analogy I like to use based on my astrophysics background is these were the same kinds of different solutions that we tried to explain planetary orbits when we all believed that everything revolved around the Earth. Okay, when we did that, we could explain, the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, or one of them, and then we'd come to another planet and we're like, hey, it doesn't work. Need to have another solution to try to, explain those perturbations, blah blah blah. And then when Galileo came in and said, hey, maybe our baseline is wrong. Maybe actually the sun is the center, right? If the
Mhm.
sun is the center, then everything is elliptical, and it simplifies everything, right?
Mhm.
Here's what we're coming in and saying is, hey, look, it's actually, if you actually let the customer store their data with
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
and they have access to all their data, then when they come to any merchant site, they can actually share whatever they want to, and you don't have to, and it's uniquely determined because it's their device.
Mhm.
And so you don't have to worry about, all these other complications about 2FAs, about logins, about, going through what my order history was. All of that is just there, right? So when you ask the question, is it not anything it doesn't do? I just think that when you change
Mhm.
the 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 premise on what everything is
Yeah.
built on, then because at the end of the day, if the customer is the king, the customer is the
Right.
king, right?
Right. Right.
Or the queen. So
Is there any I imagine it's as secure as your wallet pay, right? Is it there's a it even if someone took my phone, it's still gonna use my facial identification
maybe
or something else to yeah, okay. So it's as secure as having my credit card in my wallet paying my phone.
in your wallet. Yep.
Same
Yep.
thing.
And that's the beautiful thing about, and one thing to think about also to mention, Jay, is it's like the security is on the phones. If you look at or any device, right? Even a laptop, fingerprinting on every single laptop today, which didn't exist 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the speed, the security, and everything on devices are only gonna get bigger because of Murphy's laws, right? They're only gonna get better. So this is completely, protected by, Face ID, this, that, etc. If you want to turn it on. If you don't want to turn it on, you don't have to. It's not like I'm storing your bank information, right, in it. But yeah, it's as safe as anything else that's on your device right now.
So what about other email flows that merchants will sometimes have like automations? You buy something, there's welcome series, there's educational content. There could be Klaviyo flows, Shopify flows, different things that normally happen when someone purchases something. So if they buy with Node, how does Node integrate with those other tools or loyalty programs, all of that?
Yeah. So let's do the email first, and I can talk about loyalty program. And I want to be very clear what we are and what we are not. Okay, and it's
Yeah.
super important to do that. But on the email flows, look, what we end up doing is our system. Think of it as, whether you're using AI or using, a really nice piece of code, where we're telling merchants, hey, when a customer buys from you and they want to use their Node Connects token, if they want to, or they can use Gmail. We can automatically add that, just like an admin, right? You can automatically add that into your file as a line item, or next to your customer, they'll have two emails now. One will be, Rohan at nodeconnects.com, and one will be my Gmail. And you just now do whatever you usually do. And every time any new message or new onboarding flow takes place that you usually do with your customers, it just comes into my Node app, and you as a customer can say, hey, notify me every time I get an offer, or every time I get an account update, or every time I get a newsletter. So we have notification preferences as well,
Mm,
naturally. And so, but the beautiful thing is, you can, what we're telling merchants and consumers is, when you send me something today, and if I'm not ready to consume it, it's going down below the fold, right? Whereas with this, I'm like, you know what? What did I get from Ilya Beauty, right? Or what did I get from Lime Lush? And okay, I'm gonna go and check it out on my time, and I can have access to everything that they sent me when I'm ready. right? Or I was just brought something from Brightland and got some great olive oil from them, and I want to do a repeat purchase, right? So it's it's um it's really helping the customer engage with you on their terms, on their timeline, when they're ready, when they have the intent, right? So
Right.
that doesn't change. So coming to your loyalty, I want to. So this is kind of where I want to say what we are and what we're not. We are basically an information company. Okay, I don't provide loyalty programs at all, right? So what we do is we would go to companies who have a loyalty program and say, look, if you want to, you can offer that loyalty program what you have to your guest users, right?
Mhm.
Because all we're doing is just like we store card information on the customer's phone, we're storing your loyalty points or your loyalty program. And every time the customer comes back to your site, we'll just pass that information so that you can automatically log them in and you go through their existing flows. So we're an information company that stores everything to do with commerce on the customer's devices.
Gotcha. Have you had some any good case studies of, I know it's early and you just like launched this recently, but any case studies of big wins or examples of success that some merchants have seen with it?
So you're right, we are early. We are talking. We still haven't gone live with some of the merchants that we're having discussions with right now.
Okay. Okay. So
But this is one of the reasons I'm excited to be on this, because I'd like
for sure.
merchants to also come in. It takes less than there is really no downside. It takes less than 2 minutes to deploy, and we'd love to kind of work with merchants that are watching this show and with
And it
yourselves.
doesn't interfere with Shop App, actually. Now I think like it does, like orders will still flow into, if someone's using Shop App, they're still in there. It's just if someone prefers this as a more secure way, faster way, guest checkout, like the two don't conflict, right?
Absolutely, they don't. They absolutely
Yeah.
do not
Okay.
conflict, and it doesn't conflict with Shop App. It doesn't conflict with Shop Pay, with PayPal. It doesn't conflict with anything. And I'll just give you an example. So I use Shop App as well, right? Because it gives me my tracking instantly, and it tells me a bunch of things on that. But I've gone into Shop App, into Shop Pay, or even into PayPal, and I've updated my contact information to my Node Connects token. So now everything comes into Shop App because that's how Shop identifies me, or PayPal. But I also get a copy of everything in my Node.
Hmm.
So I can actually, all of these things can really coexist with each other. I'm not trying to pull anybody away from anything. Thing is just a much easier way to engage directly between a
Right.
consumer and a merchant.
What do you think? Where's this all heading? Like, what do you think the commerce looks like in 3 to 5 years?
It was interesting. I was I was speaking to somebody, and they asked the question, "Hey, where do you think AI is heading in 18 months?" And the guy's like, "I can't tell you anything over 6 months, right?
Yeah,
Because things
or not
moving
3 months.
so fast, right?
Yeah.
Few months." So, look, I think the one thing that we're starting to see right now is a lot of agentic commerce coming in, and people, the whole Perplexity PayPal deal. You mentioned Amazon doing some stuff, and Google, and where
Shopify and
Shopify.
ChatGPT just have a partnership now, and yeah.
Yeah, so everybody is doing this, and I think it's great, right? Because it simplifies consumer cognitive load, right? They can just do things. Hey, I want to buy that thing again. Just go find it from me and buy it, and they go do it. It's a great, as I mentioned before, it's a great discovery for the consumer, so that they can go
Hmm.
and execute on their purchases.
Hmm.
But I find it's going to have a lot of harm on the engagement between a consumer and a merchant. Because if
Hmm.
you thought that, you mentioned guest checkout on some of these on Shopify is 70-80%, and sometimes even more, and the LTVs are much lower, this is only going to exacerbate that,
Yeah.
right? Because the switching costs are going to become so low. So unless you can actually figure out a way to engage with your customer on their terms, I don't think anybody's going to be creating accounts or signing up for anything anymore. right?
Mhm.
You have to figure out a way in which you can engage your customer directly when they are want to. Otherwise, the everything is going to go to higher customer acquisition costs, right? As a first time user, and so I think Commerce 3.0 is going to be even more important, right?
Mhm.
And we're going to be, in the near future, we can what I'm telling merchants as well is not only is this a storefront for you to engage your customers on their terms, but it's also um, you know, you can have personalized AI that's running on the customer's device that just
Mhm.
engages with you, like tells you, hey, when is your
Mm.
next? We talked a little bit about this with respect to Bold on subscriptions. A lot of
Mm.
people, I mean, I don't, I always buy from my merchant again and again, but I don't
Mhm.
subscribe because I never finish my stuff before the next usually comes. So I
Mhm.
want to just do it on my terms, right? And so
Mm.
setting that up locally and making sure you can do it on your terms, I think is going to be really important to have this capability
Mhm.
as a additive solution for engagement, right? It's
Mhm.
the key word here is additive,
Yep.
right?
So if a merchant wants to, if it doesn't conflict with Shop app, there's no real downside. It's only potential upside. What does the merchant have to do to turn this on their Shopify store?
So, so we have a plugin for example on Shopify store. We have a plugin, and they literally download that plugin. Um, and I have a video that we're just prettying up a little bit, but it takes about a minute 30 seconds, and they're just enabling the um, access of SKU information from their confirmation page to
Mhm.
the customer's node directly, right?
Mm.
And as long as that gets transferred, they're done and they're ready to roll. We the system automatically will take the brand images that the merchants use on Shopify, and we'll put it onto their device so that we make it look as much as the merchant's
Yeah.
brand as we
Yeah.
can, because it's an engagement tool, right? And we want to make sure that there's continuous trust, and the merchant doesn't have to worry about being below or above the fold. They're always above. I like to say they're
Mhm.
always above the fold, right? Because when a customer thinks of you, you're there.
And there's no actual change to the website. It's just a back end process that connects it, right? That doesn't change the checkout or the cart page or like essentially, if you weren't using Node, you wouldn't even know it's running.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And what we say three things to merchants. We say it doesn't change anything of your buying flow.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So we're not trying to distract you or trying to get you to download Node before you make the purchase. That doesn't work at all. It doesn't change your buying flow. It doesn't change your email backend processes, and it doesn't change your data ownership. Right. So those are the three basic things that we're saying that does. So yeah, it's at the in the on the thank you page, if you want customers to download Node and engage with them, they can do it. Information is transferred directly, and it's a very nice seamless interaction. And then the customer has their links on their phone, and they're literally in one click they're at your website on your checkout page. Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And are you live now? Can someone install it?
Absolutely, we're absolutely live.
Okay.
You can download it as a consumer. You can deploy it as a merchant. Please, give me a
So
call or
where
send me an
where
email.
can people go to learn more or to try it? Does it have a free trial? Is it what's the cost as a merchant?
Yeah,
What's all the
so you can go to nodeconnects.com,
Okay, I'll make sure that link is in the show notes as
CONNECTS.
well.
Yeah, so connects.com. There's a merchant site telling you all the benefits of using it as a merchant. We obviously have a merchant calculator there as well, which says, hey, if this is your volume, if this is your um, guest checkout amount, here's what you could expect an increase in revenue in terms of increase in engagement, right? There's a
Mhm.
calculator there in the merchant calculator side. And of course, there's a consumer section telling consumers, it's this, the nice thing I like about it is it's really speaking the same language to both,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's changing that. And the pricing model right now is, it's free for merchants. When if a customer makes a purchase, initiates a purchase from their node, then we basically ask for an affiliate marketing fee from that.
Oh, okay. That's
And
super reasonable. So only if Node generates it from
only if it's
versus
coming from the node do we ask for a affiliate marketing fee in that.
okay.
Um, and that's kind of, I mean, if some merchants do want a subscription, I mean, a monthly, fees, and we can always talk about that. But and it's completely free for the consumer.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, one
Where
thing I would like to say, if you don't mind, also wanted to just point
yeah.
out, this is again a little bit of philosophy is, the technology is fantastic, right? In general, all technologies. And when the internet started, everything was great. Everybody was buying stuff online. Everything was going on. But I feel that over the last 15 years, there's been technology that we're using that was built during dial-ups,
Yes.
created a tension, right? Like, I don't want to give you my data. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And there's a tension between, hey, you look at anybody's privacy policies, like, I'm going to share your data with all my partners, right? Because I want to give you better services. And so there's this tension. And I don't think there needs to be tension using technology, right? That's the reason I said, if you look at our website on nodeconnects.com, you'll see that the merchant and consumer pages are saying the same thing. It's not saying something to the consumer and something to the merchant, because there doesn't need to be tension. You can actually have commerce happen and delight both parties and not take anything away from them.
Amazing. Yeah. No, if you, people never read those privacy policies, but if you did, it would be
I know.
it would be
And the cookie
scary.
policies. Exactly.
Yes. I know. We just accept everything now. It used to be that we were scared, but now
Exactly.
we're numb. We're numb as a
Exactly. Just
yeah.
accept everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been very eye-opening. Is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with? Any last thought, advice, or anything you'd like to end on?
Look, first of all, thank you again, Jay. I think this has been fantastic to share what we're doing at Node. And, this is Commerce 3.0. It is going to be the new way people are going to interact with people,
Mm-hmm.
especially merchants and consumers. And, for people who are innovative and, have thought leadership, I'd love to kind of work with them to implement this and show them that it will make your guest users, I think, even more engaged than account holders. Okay, because
Yeah,
you don't have any of the friction. So that's what I'd like to share.
I like it. Rohan, if someone wants to follow you personally, where are you active? What social platforms are you on?
I'm on LinkedIn. And you can
Okay,
follow me actively over there. I'm
perfect.
mainly on LinkedIn.
I'll make sure I add that in the show notes as well too. So this has been a ton of fun. I learned a lot, and I will make sure there's links in the show notes for all of this. You know what I always say, in e-commerce, there's always times to take advantage of things before they become table stakes. Like I remember buying AdWords for less than 5 cents a click, and back in around 2006, 2007. I remember when you could put words on a page in the same color as the background for SEO optimization. Like, there was like different things like that. And so there's always different things at different times that you can take advantage of and get a bit ahead. And this feels like one of those things. So I think if it's not, there's no risk in trying it. So I think to me, that says it all right there. There's only potential upside.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well said and very well summarized, Jay. And please download it as well and use it and let me know. And if there's any feedback, we're always innovating and changing things. And, feedback is always is the core. Right. So,
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Rohan.
all right. Thank you so much, Jay.